Hi guys, and welcome to Vlogmas day 4. Today I want to do Vlogmas a little bit differently than the other days, just for fun. I would like to do a little Q&A. Excuse me if there's a bit of a hollow echo. But I'm going to be moving around a little bit in this vlog, but I thought I'd start here in the hallway, which is strangely my favorite place, or the most comfortable place I find to sit down and talk to the camera. So I've actually asked ChatGPT to prepare a few questions. A few of them are more like personal life, some of them are more Christmas related, and some of them are more travel related. So hopefully it's just like a fun little mix, which maybe I can share a little bit more about myself if you're interested. And yeah, I just thought it would be a bit fun. I've always wanted to kind of do a little bit of a Q&A, just because I love watching them. So I thought maybe I give the people what I want. Anyway, so I want to say I'm not I'm not nervous, but it's funny because it feels a bit personal. But anyway, so let's see. Just got my phone over here. What ChatGPT says. Oh, and sorry, I just realized that though we're already on Vlogmas day 4, I just assume everyone knows what Vlogmas is. But for anyone who doesn't know, the idea is simply that for 24 or 25 days, from the 1st of December leading up to Christmas, one can participate in this sort of YouTube, can I call it a trend, or YouTube sort of video, I don't know what it is, but yeah, anyway, I'm going to call it a trend, but it's not. Anyway, so just this concept where you vlog every single day leading up to Christmas. And last year I did it while I was in Poland. It was the first time doing it with a very old camera. It was good fun. It was funny. So it was definitely had very cold, wintry vibes. It was quite varied. It was a mix of family. There was a mix of activities. You would have seen my mom a lot. And it was really good fun. And I think it's a great challenge. And it's also just fun to kind of record your everyday or my everyday just for a little bit, just to see, I don't know, it's just like a little bit of a memory over a period where, you know, there's quite a bit going on just because it's the festive period. For some, obviously. But anyway, so just for an explanation, so I will be doing it for about 25 days leading up to Christmas. And as you would have seen, I'm starting off here in Switzerland. But this year I'm going home to where I'm from, to South Africa for the actual Christmas period. Right, so let's get into it. So for a little bit of a personal question, and I'll read it out. For anyone new here, who are you and where are you originally from? So who am I? My name is Kasia. The spelling sometimes is confusing because it's Polish spelling. So it is Kasia, but the SI is the equivalent to, in English, SH. So Kasia. The I is not actually pronounced. And that's not my full name. My full name is Katarzyna, but it's my nickname. And obviously a much easier version of the name. And it's very typical to use Kasia in Poland when you have the name Katarzyna. And I guess you can guess that I have some sort of Polish roots from that. I was born and grew up in South Africa. However, I have Polish parents. My father is like, by blood he's Polish, but he came to South Africa very young as well. I don't know if as well is correct, but he came to South Africa when he was very young. So his parents brought him up essentially in South Africa, and really I think his identity is more South African than Polish. I don't think he spoke much Polish, and I don't think he really ever went, maybe only a handful of times, to Poland. So he's quite disconnected from it. My mother, however, she grew up in Poland. She was born there. And she came to South Africa as a young adult, where she completed her master's studies and fell in love with the country and decided to stay. And that's how my parents met, which is a story for another time. But their family had a vague connection back in Poland from back in the day, and as a result, they connected in South Africa and fell in love. But yes, when I was young, I think my mom took me a few times to Poland. My mom was really good where she forced me and my siblings to speak Polish. So I'm very glad that I have that as part of my identity, my blood. But of course, I did grow up in South Africa, so that is the country I'm familiar with. It's part of my identity. I'm also very proud to have a Polish background, but I really consider myself both, because South Africa is what I know, Poland is also what I know, but it's more the culture, the family. I didn't grow up there. Right, so that hopefully answers that question in a very long way. Let's see, what's the next question from ChatGPT? Where do you live now, and what brought you there? So I'm currently living in Switzerland, in Basel. However, I am soon to be leaving Switzerland next year. And before I was living in Switzerland, I was living in the UK, and I lived in various parts of the UK, but the most recent place that I lived before moving to Switzerland was London, which I lived probably over my time in the UK the longest, and I love London so much. But I was also very excited for a change. The reason we came to Switzerland is because my husband got a job opportunity here, and that's why we moved. In the UK, I worked as an architect, and that is in German you say Beruf, which is funny. I feel like it's such a perfect word, but I don't know the word in English, but yeah, that's what I am trained to do. But while in Switzerland, I've been learning German in order to work in the architecture industry, but I have to admit that's been quite difficult to get into because of the language barrier. So question number 3. What's one thing people would be surprised to learn about you? That's quite a difficult question, not so black and white. I suppose sometimes they would be surprised I love to knit and crochet and make my own clothing. Maybe it's not such a common hobby, especially knitting, crocheting, maybe when you're a bit younger. I don't know if it will be a surprise, but I used to be a ballet dancer when I was younger, and I trained for many years, and I absolutely love that, which is a very strong foundation to my enjoyment and commitment to a more athletic and physical well-being sort of led life. I don't know, is that a surprising either one of them? I'm not sure. I'm quite open about my hobbies and interests. And maybe another thing that pops to mind is that I have a tendency, I really like things very neat and placed in order. So like I am constantly, like my house improvements are always about just creating more order in the house, everything in categories, everything ordered. Like recently I have wanted to create greater order, for example, with the cables in the house. So I got a bunch of cable organizers. I just hate the chaos of cables. Very stupid. Well, it's not that stupid, but I like that things are categorized and organized in a way that I feel like makes everything neater, easier to use, and I also feel like when there's everything organized, you're more likely to use whatever you own and know where it is. Okay, end of question, enough things. Right, so I'm going to do one more question and then I think I'm going to head out. And then if I'm alone in the city, or should I just finish it here? I don't know if it's likely that I'll be alone in the city. Okay, let's see. So the next question, number 4. 3 words your friends would use to describe you. I think I would say friends and family would say that I'm quite kind, friendly, and I would say creative. Yeah. And I think maybe like enthusiastic. Yeah. And my mom would definitely say tenacious. And then we've got number 5. I'm gonna keep going until I feel compelled to leave. What's your go-to comfort food or cozy winter meal? So I've been, I think, developing and expanding my meals, the type of meals I eat, especially over winter, because it's something that in South Africa, it wasn't as much a thing for me at least, or certainly didn't think about it. But surprisingly, I think soups have become that now. I used to think that soups were so difficult to make, and I just never made them, never really ate them. I think, ever order a soup in a restaurant, or very rarely. But at home, I realize it's such an easy and comforting and delicious meal. And so that's definitely, and something that in Italian, and this is what I learned from my mother-in-law, she's taught me so much, it's called velutata. So it's like those creamy soups, not with literal cream, but where you put like a bunch of, let's say, for example, pumpkin soup, and then you use a like blender or whatever to make it super creamy. But yeah, that's, I think, definitely something that I love to eat. And I think you can make it, I think whole, of course, vegetables are much better because they're not broken down. So the fiber is much more effective. But I think sometimes it's nice to have like a sort of a creamy soup. So yeah, that's my definite comfort and easy meal for winter. Number 6. What's one, and I think I'm going to do about 18 questions, by the way. I think ChatGPT prepared 18 questions. So we're at number 6. What's one habit or routine that changed your life this year? Hang on, just one sec. So a habit or routine that has changed my life this year. I want to actually go through not only this year, but a couple of years. So I want to say that one huge one has in general really helped my life is respecting sleep. I read a book about it, Why We Sleep, I think it's called. And ever since that, I think it's made a huge change in my life in general. I think I've talked about this before, so I won't go on about it. But I would really recommend that book, either the physical or the audiobook. And I really think that that can change so much your appearance of your skin, your motivation to stay healthy and eat healthy, your motivation to exercise, etc., etc. So and also even your mood, which means it affects your relationships, how you feel about work. So sleep is a big one. And that's, I think, a routine that I changed around 2021, which is a while back now, but that was one. Then I think I've slowly over time, I've definitely become more and more focused on eating healthy like I've always been more healthily inclined, but I do constantly try and make improvements. And so, and I read books about nutrition and etc., to kind of make improvements which make sense. Vaguely scientifically, of course, there's so many different studies claiming so many different things, so you kind of need to find what works for you and take everything with a bit of a pinch of salt. But yeah, definitely focusing on that. Then something that I changed last year is something that only just probably, I mean, it can work for other people, but I'm not saying that for everybody, but I stopped snacking. So I eat like 2 main meals a day mainly. And then maybe like before lunch, I will have a banana and a coffee, like for a late morning sort of pick me up. But not having anything between lunch and dinner, first of all, means that I really enjoy my dinner, but it also means that I control the number of calories that I consume and are necessary. And also, one of the reasons that I did this actually was because I read in a book called The Glucose Revolution. And it was just discussing about glucose spikes, etc., how we absorb different things, blah, blah, blah. And with that, it means like, for example, maybe let's say you have a meal and then a few hours later you have like a little bit something sweet. You no longer have from your meal like sort of, let's say, a layer of food to sort of counteract, let's say, something maybe less healthy, something sweet, something that can cause a glucose spike anymore. Whereas if you have, let's say, your sweet treats straight after your meal, not only are you also more full, so you're more likely to eat less, but then you don't have more of the other negative effects. Obviously, this is things I've learned from the book, and you need to take what I say with a pinch of salt and do your own research because I'm not a doctor. Anyway, so that is one of the things that I've also found very helpful in my life, and also it's given me a lot of more pleasure to appreciate and enjoy meals with zero guilt, which is great. And then this year in my mind, I wanted one improvement was less sugar, and that's definitely been a struggle. I haven't achieved it that well. I did do like over Lent, 0 sugar, and that was great. Then like now in our new home, I'm actually remove the association of any place or anything with like, especially like sugars that come from eating biscuits, chocolates, whatever, from fruit, to a limited degree, fine. But I'm also trying now at this end of the year to have a sort of a more cholesterol-friendly diet, meaning less butter, less cheeses, less milk, also less like all these biscuits and everything like that, all of that. And actually, because I'm doing this with my husband, doing it together and taking it quite seriously, it's been great. So kind of motivating each other. So that is my new next level step for my routine, let's say, daily routine. I realize these are all kind of health and diet related, but that's in reality one of the big ones that I focus in my mind, because it just makes me feel good overall in my life. Right, number 7. What's one thing you're currently working on improving in yourself? I think consistency in working towards something that I really want. I'll keep that vague, but just being consistent. Yeah, in order to achieve goals, in fact, in my, let's say, more career work-wise. Now we get on to a few Vlogmas and Christmas related questions. So number 8, so we're halfway. Almost halfway. Why did you decide to do Vlogmas this year? I kind of covered this already, but I did Vlogmas last year. I loved the challenge, and it was the first time I was kind of really committed to a goal on YouTube and did YouTube properly, so I really enjoy that, and I think it's a great challenge. It's really fun to like share this period of the year. I love watching Vlogmas, so I want to be part of that, and it's also just a fun memory for me to look back on, especially because, as I said, this is a big part of this period is on holiday with your family, etc. So I think it's a special moment to record. Number 9, what's your favorite Christmas tradition from your childhood? I think opening presents on Christmas Eve when the first star comes out, that's a Polish tradition. In Poland, Christmas Eve is more important than Christmas Day. And on Christmas Eve, we don't eat any meat. We only eat like fish and obviously vegetables. And I also love, like, we have beetroot soup, borscht on Christmas Eve. The best thing ever with ushki, which is like a kind of like a pastry stuffed with usually sauerkraut and mushroom sort of mix, like a tortellini, and it's just the best thing ever. But I think, especially just as a kid, the highlight was always we were looking outside. Sorry, that was my alarm. Looking outside in the sky. This was, of course, the summer sky in South Africa, and searching for that first star so we could open our presents, which typically the Christmas Eve dinner was aligned so that you would probably be finished at least eating the main meal. Probably the dessert would be over the time that the stars come out. But yeah, so you would be aligned that you kind of anticipate when it's going to be dark and everything. So that was great. That was so fun. Right, so number 10. What does Christmas look like for you now? So Christmas, I feel like at the moment, as an adult, as an expat, as a person married to someone from a different country, where neither of us live in the country where we're from, means that every year is different. And we always want to be together, but we want to be with our families. I also love to be with Mateo's family. Mateo would love to be with my family. But obviously, it's impossible to do almost all of it together. One day I would hope that maybe we would have a home where we could bring everyone together. Which is one thing I think we always invite people to wherever we are, because we just feel, I think because we're away from everyone, we're so happy if someone comes visiting us. So we always have like a spare room available with a spare bed, something comfortable set up so that when we can, in whatever home we have, just so that we can have people. But yeah, so now Christmas is never the same. Last year I was in Poland with my grandfather, and my mother happened to be visiting from South Africa. The year before, I think I was in Italy, which was so lovely. So I was with Mateo's family, and this year I'll be in South Africa, and next year, who knows? You know, it's hard because now I'm so happy I'm going to be with my mom and my sister. But at the same time, I don't get to be with my husband, and I already miss him, you know, so much. And it's only been like a day that now we're not going to be in the same country together. And then, of course, I love his mom and his family, so I'd love to be with them. I'd want to be with my grandpa. I miss him so much, and I'm so sad I'm not with him as well. So yeah, it's a lot of conflict, but it's I can't win, unfortunately. And it's been a long time since I've been in South Africa, so I really wanted to prioritize that this year. Now, number 11. What's your favorite festive drink or treat? Okay, it goes without saying, my favorite thing about Christmas is Christmas Eve. We have borscht, that beetroot soup, which sounds so weird probably to non-Polish people, but it's just the best thing. It's a bit sour, very savory. It's just perfection. You don't know until you try, and then you'll be converted. It doesn't sound right, but if you try it, you'll know. It's just the best thing ever with the ushki. Those like I mentioned, like those pastry little things inside. Perfection. I'm so excited. Me and my mom are going to sort that out for this year for sure, because in South Africa there's not really any Polish shops, so you have to do it all by yourself. There are some, Polish people that sometimes sell products. But yeah, I think I'm going to probably make the little pastries myself, and my mom, I'm going to do it with her because I want to learn, because I actually don't know that well how to do it. I know the concept, but I've never done it. But I want to do it with her because it's like, what's the word? Fermented soup, which is why it has that sour, tangy taste. So yeah, we're going to do that together for sure. Number 12. What's the most chaotic or funniest Christmas memory you have? I don't necessarily associate that much Christmas with chaos, but actually, just because this is a recent memory, last year it was really funny. Actually, this is kind of chaotic, and if you want to see this, you can see in my Vlogmas from last year. So on Christmas Day last year, we hosted at my grandfather's apartment, my mom and I and my grandpa. And my grandfather lives in Poland in a communist apartment. It is very small. I think it's about 25 square meters, tiny. Luckily, it's really close to the city center. It's a lovely place. I always feel so at home there. I feel so comfortable, but it's tight, right? So to host a family, yeah, it's a fun it's a fun ordeal, you know. But we managed. But because of course we're preparing a lot of food between us for everybody, and of course our family who was coming helped. They brought different dishes, etc., to they know. But nonetheless, that was kind of fun and a bit chaotic because we had so much on the go, going in the oven, going out, trying to share. This kitchen is so tiny, like barely two people can pass each other in the like central passage of the kitchen. And the kitchen, like you can almost touch, you can definitely touch wall to wall from the most narrow part, and then the widest like sort of passageway part is probably, you know, if you stretched out your hands, like it would be 1.5 arm stretches. Technical term there. Anyway, so that was fun though. I enjoyed that. It was really sweet, and it was special, and that's what I loved that I recorded on Vlogmas, because I can look back on that. And like for example, my grandpa has like an old school gas stove, so I remember I think I was baking cookies or something, and then it was really difficult to keep it on a low temperature, and so sometimes it would extinguish, and I was a bit scared to turn it, so then my grandpa would have to come, reignite it, keep the oven going. It was so funny. But anyway, and then he loved the cookies so much, I made him like a huge batch before I left, and then froze them so he could eat them over the time. Yeah, that was cool. Anyway, that was a good memory though. Right, so here are a few questions, the final questions. Lifestyle, travel, and future goals. So let's see. We have 13. What has been your favorite trip this year and why? So I'm very fortunate to have had a few trips this year, and I do love them all. And to be honest, I think you would have seen them all on my channel. Some of them I still have to upload. I'm yet to perfectly chronologically upload, but I'm going to definitely get better with that once I've caught up. Each one has something special for a different reason, but I would say my trip to America, which is not up yet, but that was really special just because America is one of those countries that I would be very interested in living in. I think not permanently, but for some time. And there was something very unexpected where we arrived in Boston, and I didn't have much expectations, didn't know much about it, and I fell in love with Boston and the neighboring Cambridge, which has like Harvard and MIT campuses there. And I didn't realize what a stunning place that is. I've been to New York, I've been to Baltimore, I've been to Washington, which I love all of them. I really just love America. I love to I love the vibe, I love the people. Like, people are so friendly there. They actually compliment you like on the street if they like your outfit or something you're wearing, which is so sweet. Because sometimes when people say, I get all these compliments like about my outfit, I'm like, when does that happen? And I realized that's something that happens for real in America. Sometimes in London it would happen, and even South Africa, to be fair, but like not in Europe, which is, it's just a cultural thing. But it's just like, it's such a vibrant, exciting place where it's just so people are so open to opportunity and so supportive and so open and friendly. I just love it. Yeah, and it's just a beautiful place too. We were on the East Coast. We went to New England. And yeah, we did a road trip. Yeah, it was special. It was great. And I just love, of course, traveling with my husband. It's always good fun. So I really loved so many of our trips. But I think just I'm mentioning this one because it's also a place where I would like happily live for a bit. But anyway, number 14. What's your favorite winter activity or one you want to try? Well, my favorite winter activity. What comes to mind is just being in the mountains for sure. I think I am now, my husband is, I don't know if I can call him a skier, but he's been skiing since a child, and that's something I'm learning. I find it quite difficult. I mean, I'm able to do it, to be fair. Maybe I don't find it difficult. It's a bit scary to go fast, but it's not that bad, actually. Maybe it's, yeah. To be fair, I think even though I make like jokes on like TikTok and Instagram, to be fair, I think I've picked it up quite well. So I enjoy that. And it's one of the winter activities where you don't feel cold, and I also quite like that. But I also just in general like to be in the mountains. So maybe hiking or walking through the mountains is lovely. Like last year when I went with my mom to Zakopane, even though it was quite cold, it wasn't too bad because we were dressed properly probably. And it was so lovely just to walk through the snow. I've been with my husband a few times to the mountains over winter where it's snowy in the Dolomites in Italy. And yeah, that's quite special. So I really enjoy that. So I think, yeah, just being in the mountains. Okay, so, oh, and something I would want to try. Après ski. I haven't really done that. I want to do that. That seems like quite a vibe. I like that. Yeah. 15. What's something you're most proud of from this year? I'm very proud of my progress in speaking German, for sure. I think that's a big one. And I'm proud of being a bit consistent in my goals, in some of the things I'm doing in my career. I haven't achieved, for example, my goal in architecture to get back into it here on the European mainland, but I'm hoping to get there. But yeah, my German, my consistency a bit, and other things, and yeah, I think those are the two that come straight to my mind. So, and also I think just developing some skills on the side. You can see I don't always feel that, like I feel a bit shy to talk about these things, like I don't know, but yeah, anyway. 16. Where is your dream destination for 2026? I think there's so many options. I love to travel, as you can tell from my channel, most likely. There's a few places I want to go, and I'm really open to many of them. I think I know that every year there'll be somewhere special, like we usually do one big summer trip, but then we do little trips along the way. Next year, because we're going to be more in the East Europe side, I definitely want to be exploring loads of Eastern European countries. But also, I would love to possibly go to South America or Asia again next year, I think. And yeah, that would be very interesting. I've never been to the South American continent. I've been to a few Asian countries, but of course there's so many and they're so different, each one. So I think, yeah, I would say those two places for a big trip would be amazing. But we'll have to see. And actually, we usually plan this way ahead, so probably already in January. Actually, we would have already, sometimes we've planned it really a year ahead, like Bali, we did 1 year ahead. America, we did, yeah, almost. So actually, we're behind a bit. We need to select a destination for the big trip. But yeah, let's see. 17. What's a personal goal you want to focus on next year? I think get back into, as much as possible, the architecture game, full stop. That is a big goal. No matter in what way, whether it's volunteering, whether it's if I manage to find a company that I can work for again now that we're moving to a new country, the language problem arises again, but I want to try work my way around it. But that is a big something important to me that I want to get back into. 18, the last one. Whenever I say the last, I always think of the last melon from the Ice Age. I love that, and it's always been in my head since I've seen it. Okay, how do you balance travel, relationships, and taking care of yourself? Funny question, considering that I think in the last 6 months, I don't think we have been in one country for longer than 2 weeks, which is completely crazy. I think both of us have ever done that much traveling, but it just so happens that at the moment in this part of our life, it just has worked out this way. And yeah, so now me going to South Africa, yeah, it's going to be like I'm a little bit settled just for a little bit. But yeah, I think, honestly, in terms of relationships, it's important really I think it depends on the person, but that is the type of relationship you have with each person, but trying to obviously keep in contact with them. For example, with my mom, my best friend, it's pretty much a daily contact. With my husband, of course, that goes without saying. If we're not together, I mean, we just call and text all the time when we're free and without even thinking. It's not like a hesitation, like I just contact when needed. And I think in terms of health, that can be a challenge sometimes, especially in terms of like, I think exercise, if for example, I like to keep my steps in, which is what I'm going to do after recording this, as much as possible. But at the moment, I haven't been part of a gym for weeks now, which means that I can't do anything like lifting weights, or I guess I could do a bit at home, but I have to admit that I have just neglected that because I know that in South Africa I'm going to do some gym stuff. But yeah, so that has been a bit annoying. But I think that the most important thing is diet, and that's something that luckily my husband is aligned with me on, so we're very focused on that. So for example, I mean, even if we go to a restaurant, we try opt for example, let's say we feel like a burger, but we don't need a burger each. We can have one burger to share and then a salad, and that way we balance it out. For example, if we are not in a situation where we can make a home cooked meal, it's also balance about just enjoying life a little bit as well, of course, but majority of the time it needs to be a healthy choice. In reality, that's just, you got to make a choice. Do you want to be healthy or do you want to be indulgent every time? So, but I think healthy can be delicious. I love a salad, so that's an advantage. But yeah, I think if you can just find an excuse for movement. So let's say you're traveling a lot, if you can walk somewhere instead of take a taxi or a bus, make that choice if you can. And yeah, if you have to eat out a lot, try and balance it with a decent amount of healthy meals, ideally. But yeah, this has been fun actually talking. I'm glad I actually just sat down and did the full ChatGPT questionnaire in one place, because I think it would have been hard on my walk, just because one can feel a bit shy and embarrassed to do it in public, people around. But yeah, so thank you so much for watching and joining on Vlogmas Day 4. Very soon you're going to see me in South Africa, so no more sweaters, no more jerseys. It's going to be sunshine and rainbows. So it'll be an unusual Christmas. But yeah, until tomorrow, bye.